People will often ask me, which model should I use, ChatGPT or Claude? And the truth is, that stopped being the right question to ask almost a year ago. Nowadays, the models are equally as intelligent as each other, and the right question to ask is which model should I be using to complete this very specific task, and each model has their strengths and weaknesses. So the truth of the matter is that frontier models are evolving rapidly. Each model maker is deciding which areas it should focus on, which is why each model now has different strengths and weaknesses. Performance will ebb and flow with new model releases, but when you look at the figures, each model across Gemini, Anthropic and OpenAI sit incredibly close on the performance benchmarks. This is why it's no longer about which model is smarter. Spoiler, in this video, I'm not announcing a winner, but instead exploring a framework that will help you pick the right model for the right task. So for quick questions, day-to-day stuff, ChatGPT for sure has the broader toolkit. It can generate images, it has a voice mode, it has a code sandbox, and it has thousands of specialised GPTs being written from the community. If you want one app that does it all, OpenAI and ChatGPT shines in this area. Claude and Gemini, on the other hand, do far fewer things. So if your overall use case is day-to-day, ask questions, search the web, generate some fun images, ChatGPT is the way to go, whereas Claude and Gemini have fewer use cases but do them far more deliberately. Next up, image generation. This one's going to be short because it's not even close. ChatGPT can generate images using DALL-E, and it can also edit images that you upload. Claude cannot generate images at all without using community-based plugins, so if your workflow involves making materials for websites, marketing materials, generating images, ChatGPT is a standout winner. Writing is arguably the most common use case for AI, and this is where Claude pulls ahead, and the difference is significant. Where ChatGPT tends to add unnecessary qualifiers to text, Claude maintains stylistic instructions with precision. Ask Claude to create text in a warm but professional tone, and it will do both perfectly. Furthermore, Claude maintains structure and coherence far more reliably in longer text than ChatGPT, where ChatGPT tends to drift and be repetitive when pieces extend 1,000 words. In fact, with Claude, it's possible to create your own skills that extend its writing capabilities to make it sound much more like you and in your own tone of voice. I cover exactly how to do this in a future video, but I've also documented over in Substack the process of building this skill for Claude. You'll find the link in the description below. Being able to extend the writing capabilities of something like Claude is incredibly useful and saves a lot of time when completing repetitive writing tasks where you're having to tell it to write things in your tone of voice and have it correct common mistakes it might make in its writing style. This 100% gives Claude the advantage when it comes to writing-based tasks. So coding tasks is probably the area where I use these tools the most in my role and background as a software engineer and product owner. And to be honest, I've gone back and forth on this one quite a bit. Claude definitely has a lot of advantages over Codex, particularly Claude's larger context window, stronger CLI user experience, and better support with working directly with their user interface. That said, Codex is still extremely powerful, and I really like the direct integration it has with things like GitHub, where you can raise pull requests directly as part of its workflow. Now, if I had to pick an overall winner just based on capabilities, I would probably edge towards Claude. However, in practice, I found the best approach is to actually use both. I tend to use Codex for some of the simpler, more straightforward tasks, and tend to lean towards Claude when I'm working on larger code bases or need deeper architectural changes to the code base. Now, with both services having usage quotas, leveraging both in this way allows me to get more done with each platform. So if 60 or 70% of the queries you pass to AI today are in the lines of a search engine query or generate some text, then the question you're asking isn't is this model the best model for me? And actually, for most casual users, ChatGPT is probably the better choice with its image generation capabilities. However, most power users I know don't just pick one, they use both. They leverage Claude for the creative writing, the documents and its coding capabilities, and they'll leverage ChatGPT for asking questions, brainstorming, and image generation. For around $40 a month when you combine the two, you've effectively covered almost every AI use case, and you get the best of what both platforms have to offer. So I'll give you my own setup as an example. I'm in Claude almost every day for the actual engineering work. The combination of its large context window and its deep reasoning makes it the perfect coding partner when building my products. I will jump to Claude when I'm creating presentations or marketing copy for things like the website. I'll also combine that with ChatGPT, using ChatGPT to maybe brainstorm position or marketing copy, and maybe even generate assets and images for the website and presentation material. But when it comes to the core product build, I'm in Claude for the heavy engineering work. So that's the framework. Stop asking which one is smarter and start asking which one can solve the task sitting in front of me right now.